There you go.
Thank you.
Good day, everyone. For those of you who are back in the States, good evening. For those of you who are here in Guam, good morning. Yes, James, thank you very much. This is an opportunity for me to again say what we, just the whole thing about history, connecting history, and before I do that, I like to introduce myself. I introduce myself to my parents. Nanahu si Rosabella Belang Kinata, tatahu si Sus Su Kinata, Tatahumatak, and si Joe Kinata. So, I've been with the Guam Preservation Trust for a long time, and that's how I connected very well with James Viernes. He was our board member, and I worked with Malia. Our organizations are the closest partners that you can have here in Guam, with the Historic Resource Division with Parks and Recreation. And then I've worked with Elisa Santos, who will be coming up. She was our intern at the Guam Preservation Trust. But I want to open up my whole talk with two things. And the first one is what my story about my mom. And I was in the kitchen with her, and we're talking about what it is to be tomorrow. And at that time, she was holding a huge, those Tupperware mixers, those huge balls. And she looked at me and she said, "This Tupperware is a tomorrow Tupperware. It's not from California, it's from Guam." And I asked her, "Why you call that a tomorrow Tupperware?" And she said, "Because this is where I put the kadu, it's where I put my kelvin, and everything tomorrow." And what she was referring to really is, it's not the fact that we're taking something and making something out of, that fits who we are. It's actually looking at the vessel in which we bring our tomorrow culture to not only our own people, but to the rest of the world. There are many, many vessels that you can use to transcend, to connect with everybody. And then the other thing I like to talk about, and I do it with my kids all the time, is the saying that if you know your history, then you know yourself. And those two things really I think about all the time when I'm doing my work. Number one is the type of vessel that I'm going to be connecting with people. There are many different ways to do that. And the other one is how do I take our history so that our young people will know who they are. And I've done that in so many different ways. In the Guam Preservation Trust, we look at, and a lot of folks would say, well, what is the Guam Preservation Trust and what do they do? And for those of you who have experienced the church in Rahan, in Humatak, the bell tower in Maleso, the Plaza de España, those are actually structures and sites, historic sites that the Guam Preservation Trust had preserved. If you look at homes in the village of Nalahan, those homes also, we had just completed 3 homes the last 2 years, rehabilitating these homes so that it can last for another 50 years. And when we do this, it's not just the structure that we're preserving the stories that these structures transcend. But not only the stories of the past, but the stories that they're going to be making while living in that structure, about using that structure, so that 50 years from now, the occupant for that structure is going to tell their story, their experience in that historic house, whether it be owned by the original owners or owned by other people that have bought the structures, or owned by descendants of the original owner. Those stories are going to continue to be told as long as those structures are there to also tell that same story. So the Guam Preservation Trust looks also at the different types of ways that we can be able to connect, and especially to preserve our heritage. And we've always been very, very supportive with the young, the youth. We look at Guam Preservation Trust actually initiating Guam History Day, where we get middle and high school kids to actually research, interview the Manonko, and write their own perspective of Guam's history. We look at the Youth Heritage Summit, where we bring middle and high school kids together to share and to teach them the heritage. And we not only do it on Guam, but we do it with the other Pacific Islands. So their kids come and share with us their histories. About 9 years ago, or should I say 10 years ago, I wanted to teach my kids. I have 3 kids, and at that time they were in elementary and middle school. And I wanted to teach my kids the ways of our people. And I'm from the village of Humatak, so I took them down there, and I said, you know, if I'm going to do it with my kids, maybe I should do it with my nieces and nephews. And you know, in the village of Humatak, everybody's related to everybody. So every kid down there is my niece or my nephew. So I brought them together. We started to tell stories about, specifically about Humatak. A lot of kids didn't know that the first Catholic Mass was said in Humatak, and that meant a lot to them. They went home and they told their parents, you know, that the first Catholic Mass was said in Humatak, and the parents didn't even know that. So they would come to me and tell me that, yeah, my kid told me this is really interesting. So I learned from that and said, if I was going to teach the people in Humatak, I think I better teach the kids, because the kids are going to go home to teach their parents. This is very difficult to get an older person to come in to attend storytelling or even a history session in Humatak. If you told a kid, that kid's going to sit at the dining table or breakfast table and talk to their parents about what they've learned. And so for the last 10 years, we've been doing that in the village of Humatak. And I'd like to share with you a video clip.
Half a Day. The Humatak Community Foundation's latest development is the bridging of our heritage youth and archaeologists from Spain and Hawaii to assist in the Humatak Spanish Structures Research Study. 10 Humatak heritage youth volunteered as archaeological assistants to help the archaeological team in conducting surveys of the historic San Dionisio Church ruins. The survey involves excavation, artifact recovery, inventory, and analysis. The 2-year project will provide a greater understanding of Humatak's rich history.
More than that, archaeology is studying the relationship of these artifacts and how we can use those to figure out what people from the past did during that time and in that certain area.
that archaeology is not just the discovery of artifacts, but it's also to find out how your ancestors lived in the past and how everything came to be.
What is archaeology? Is we want to study the history through artifacts and through excavation.
The archaeologists look at what has been left behind by previous civilizations or anything that was left behind in general. And it's pretty much, they study this to understand how life was at that time.
Every day is something different because it depends mainly on the weather and how it is. And sometimes the dirt will be too wet where we couldn't excavate, but if it was a regular sunny day, then we could get to start digging up, excavating using the trowels. And then that's when we hand over the buckets filled with all the excess dirt to the sifters, where they would find all the artifacts that we didn't find digging up.
The moment I get there, I have to follow instruction within measure some units. Once I'm done measuring, they give me buckets to sift. So I dump it in and I just start sifting it until we find anything. And while I was doing that, we just mostly found a lot of pottery.
I worked alongside Gabriella. We were mainly in the center or in the lab dealing with the artifacts. So what we'll do is we have to clean the artifact or separate the artifacts first into separate categories, because some we dry brush and others we wash in the sink. So after we're done cleaning them, we bring them to the table ready to be bagged. So we have a clipboard and we assign each one a category number or a catalog number.
We drive down to Montauk for our daily routine over at the archaeological site. So first, usually when we get there, the archaeologists are already there. They already set up all the equipment and everything. And so we just jump right into it. We don't. Every now and then we'll have a debriefing if we're doing something different, but usually we just jump right into it. Some people will go to the units to dig. Some people will be over at the screens to screen out some of the dirt, some of the through all the debris and rubble, to find other small stuff that those digging in the units cannot really catch. And we pretty much do that all the way until about 2:30 is when we usually close off the site, put everything back for the next day.
By working with real archaeologists through this program, I learned the archaeological process firsthand, and now I hope to learn more about it for the years to come.
So that was just one example of working with the youth. The other example that we do is every March we open up Miss Tomorrow with our Guam's History and Cultural Day in the village of Humatay, and we have about 30 to 50 young folks in Humatay come together to learn about Guam's history and actually history of Humatay. And they are available for heritage tours. So Humatay has, so many historic sites. So these kids will be at these sites and they will talk about, they will share their knowledge about the site themselves. So you're going to hear a snippet of what they did, and this is just right before COVID. These are the kids that were able to share with the visitors that came down. So you just fast forward that.
II. After this, the original church was never rebuilt.
Today, the San Inicio Church ruins can still be viewed, but since our people believe in ancestral spirits, we ask that you highly respect the place.
Afare, welcome to the beautiful village of Humata. My name is Christian Kanata.
I am Kurt Tutu.
My name is Austin Manoa.
And we'll be your docents and guides for the Palazzo ruins.
Okay, so the Spanish attempted to link Hagania and Umarak together using a monumental road, but the road was never completed. Remnants today could be historical sites such as the bridges in Umarak, Salibe, and in Aga.
These visits are so important that the Spanish governor came down to Humatak every summer to wait for the ship to deliver. Damien D. Esplano built the governor's palace or palacio surrounded by a presidio compounded in Humatak in 1690.
After the supplies were unloaded by the ship, they were transported by boat from Umarak around a road T point to Aganya, since no road exists between the two villages.
Today, my name is Kara Aguon.
My name is Elvin Mansipin.
And we will be your docents or guides for the San Inicio Catholic Church. The San Inicio Catholic Church was constructed between the years of 1937 and 1939 under Father Bernabe D. Casera, who was also responsible for constructing the San Jose Church in Inarohan. Having survived World War II, the church is one of the island's two oldest churches still in use. A series of typhoons and a 1993 great earthquake destroyed parts of the church, but it was reconstructed on February 11, 2001. It was rehabilitated by the Guam Preservation Trust.
We celebrate our patron saint every year with the fiesta on October 8th. Masses are set on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock p.m. and Sundays at 8:30 a.m. You guys are more than welcome to give us.
Thank you, Laz. So there are about 7 sites in Humatak that the docent will take you through. And so they spend every Tuesdays and Thursday evenings learning about their village, learning about their history, learning about themselves. And then it culminates in March, where they share their history to people, to visitors, and their parents also go through the same tour because they're just really proud of their kids. So this is really one way to pass on that, that legacy, the history, so that they also, when they get older, that they can pass it to their kids. We have not only looked at history, but we also look at the environment. So in the Humatak Foundation, we believe in 3 things. The first one is our ancestors and how we have reverence to them. Rita talked about that. And when we say ancestors, it doesn't have to be your ancestors 3,000 years ago, because your ancestors could be your grandparents, your great-grandparents. And for some folks like myself, my parents, because they've already long gone. And but they did give us, we learned from them. The other thing is our relationship with each other, how we look at each other today. The second thing that we believe in. And the last thing we believe in is our environment and how we care for our environment. And so we brought kids together to look at the environment. And this was all the films that you're, except for the KUAM, students will be the ones producing these short films. Here's another film I'd like to show regarding the environment with the kids.
The Umatic Court Reef Ambassadors is a movement created to provide our community youth with a lifelong learning experience in the conservation and preservation of our natural and cultural resources through cultural awareness, personal growth, teamwork, leadership skills, and a cultural and environmental mindset for the future.
A year ago, we assessed Umatic, Seti, and Fua Bay.
From that, we understood one thing. Our coral reefs are dying. And this was happening because we were burning the hills, development was taking place, and our trees were dying. Because of this, we decided to protect the land so that it can help us protect the sea. We began our movement by doing simple things like picking up trash and planting trees. But as the days went by, we snorkeled more and got to learn much more about the coral that we protected. We even started to restock Seti Bay with corals that we had grown. At this point, we are working with scientists who are teaching us more about the coral and how we can learn even more about them through regular monitoring. This way, we can answer many questions that we've had.
A part of being in UCRA is learning more from other communities. Earlier this year, we shared and learned ideas and techniques from Palau and Pohnpei through our youth learning exchanges. We made friends with kids that are doing the same thing we are doing here in Humatak. We were able to snorkel in Palau and we have seen what great coral should look like. In Guampedia, we were able to visit great forests. We've learned so much from our experiences that it has motivated us to continue caring for our coral reef.
We need the Humatak community to help and support us. Please help in any way. Thank you and to us, Mas.
And that was about 10 years ago we did that. These kids are now 20-something years, and they will never forget what they've learned. We would take these kids in Humatak and take them to the different islands. We do these learning exchanges, and so the kids from Yap, the kids from the other islands would come to Guam also and stay in Humatak and learn from them. So just as we learn from these islands. So it's really, again, I talk about vessels, different vessels of bringing not only our history but also our heritage to different folks, whether it be young people, whether it be old people, whether it be people from Guam or people from off island. It's an amazing thing that's happening down in the village of Humatak. It's an amazing thing that's happening here on Guam with the programs that the Guam Preservation Trust have put together. We every 2 years we sponsor a Pacific Youth Heritage Summit. And the summit brings about kids from middle and high school kids from the different islands. And if you go into the Heritage Summit website, you see a lot of their statements. These kids, they actually get together and they write statements that they actually would send to their leaders. Statements about their environment, statements about their history, statements about their culture, and it's all of this activity that's happening with our kids that makes us really proud to know that our future is going to be okay. And I would also like to show some photos, not only of what our kids have been doing, but also photos of our kids really connecting with other older kids. So Laz, if you can put those photos on. The first photo is, these are actually our docents that take visitors around for tour. We have about 3 docents per site. And if you see the video, you'll see an average of 3 of the docents that would share their knowledge about that site. We also, if you can get the next slide, this is our students. I mean, our students with the archaeologists from Spain, and the Spanish archaeologists have been doing this for the last 3 years. So every summer, they would come in, and we would get our local kids to be assistants with them. Not all of them. We only look for 10 kids, mainly high school kids that are a lot more mature to learn about archaeology. And all of the 20 kids that we normally would put together each year, we get the pool of 20 and get 10 for each year. All of them, 2 are now looking at becoming archaeologists. In fact, an archaeological firm came to Guam and had called because they wanted to hire some assistants, and they knew about our kids and how they don't have to go through training because these kids already had training. So we have 2 kids that are actually working for these firms. Next slide. Next picture. With the Guam Preservation Trust, we were able to do an internship with Atantano, and we had women actually come in. They answered our call. We had about 6 women from the university that answered our call. They came in, and we were able to develop a trail in Atantano. We're inviting people to come in Atantano to actually experience that trail. We have students from Japan that come in and want to connect with our docents in Humatec. We have students from UCLA. Every summer, UCLA study students will come in and they connect every year. They connect with our kids in Humatec. Thank you, Las. And so that sort of concludes it. I'm only allowed 15 minutes. I can go all day. We can talk about a lot of things. And perhaps when you come to the office or you can email me, we can do a weekend hike so that we can be able to, I can be able to introduce you to some of the kids that do this regularly. Thank you, Sizus Masi.
Thank you, Joe. All this wonderful work you've been doing at the Guam Preservation Trust or through the Humatec Foundation or even through just, your parenting and imparting on your children, the importance of this is really commendable. I like what you say, if you know your history, then you know yourself. And I think it really reinforces the important role of place-based, right, history, village-based history. That the village is the place to begin. It definitely has been my experience with my work with Sumai. It's obviously been yours with Humatec. Pope Cristobal has done some amazing work looking at Sinahanya village. I think for our audience, I highly encourage people to take this place-based approach, that the best place to start to understand your past and understand yourself is right at home. It harkens to something one of my mentors told me, that our job as Pacific historians, as Chamorro historians, is to help tell the stories or to refocus history on seemingly ordinary people with extraordinary stories to tell, and you've certainly done that. So Sizus Masi for your work. With that being said, I do want to turn it over to somebody who also is making waves in taking seemingly ordinary people and showcasing the extraordinary stories they have to tell, and that would be Elissa Santos. Elissa, welcome, and why don't you get us going with your presentation.